done some digital photos of the sunsets, picked out the ones I really like, and then I'll be using elements from each of them to create my own sunset. Here's the set that I've chosen from the stills that I did, so I'll be using elements of the colours for each of them. Also, I've given the linen a wash of watery paint, which helps fill in all the little holes, which means I'll get a clean stroke when I actually start painting. I won't need to go over and over to fill in all the little holes because they've all been filled in. So I've used a base colour of white with a bit of blue as well as to start on the background, because the sky is made up of many different colours anyway. So I've got a whole selection of colours which I'll be using to do the sky. Different blues, purples, greens. Then when it comes to the actual sun, there'll be yellows and oranges. I use American acrylics, heavy body, good quality acrylics, and they don't fade in the sun when you've got them on the wall as well. Use good brushes, decent brushes as well, and that saves any hairs getting left onto the canvas. So that's how I'll begin, and then I will start building up the colour of the sky. So after a lot of thought on how I want to progress, I will begin. Welcome, and thank you for joining me on this high-speed race through painting the West Pier sunset. I just happened to be cycling home from work one evening, and there was this V-shaped sunset. Just the colours were amazing. So I grabbed the mobile phone and took a load of shots until I got a really good one, and just cycled home again. So been thinking about the sunset ever since, and this is the result. Okay, I'm just building up colour. It's really important to visualise, for example, the sea very, very deeply, thinking about which way the tide's going, how the sea's moving in, what it looks like in the distance, what it looks like in the foreground, the light that's hitting the waves, and the darkness as the wave is curling. And you've got to imagine that the whole time you're putting that paintbrush on the board. That's when you get your best effects, is when you can keep focused totally on the movement that you're trying to create, the perspective you're trying to create, the light and dark, everything. You're just thinking colour, light, dark, movement. Always what's happening in the painting. I tend to go from one piece to another, really, building up the whole painting rather than building up just a corner and making that perfect. I can't work like that. I don't know if anyone else does, but I need to keep building up colour in all the different places to create the overall image. And it took about 7 hours in real time, but obviously that would be very boring, so I'm hoping this isn't. Just building up the colour on under the pier really at the moment. I've done all the detail of the pier with a very tiny brush with just a couple of hairs, and now I'm just building up the waves underneath. And then the fun bit starts, where I use the strong pinks for the actual sunset, which was the reason I took the picture in the first place. So it's very important that I get it right. So just building up the cloud formation as well. And each time I add the colours, I'm trying to add it onto the sea as well, where the reflection's going on amongst the waves there.
So there's layers and layers of clouds. So at this point I've put the paint on, allowed it to dry for a little while, and it's much easier to make a puffy cloud shape. It's just the nature of acrylics, really, to let it dry a little bit, and you get these puffy clouds then. And the crepe brush, which is quite short, stubby hair, very, very thick, quite a stubby brush that seems to make clouds really well. And you've just got to imagine them flowing along the sky and moving around. Just making sure the sun is perfectly strong as I can get it looking. It's so bright that it has to really look bright. So I'm just layering up the white and yellow acrylics into that sun, and then adding little splashes of it that are poking through the cloud. It's just a continual build up. Wiped some off of the sunset there. I thought I'd gone too far with the clouds over the sunset, so wiped it off quite easily with a damp cloth and carried on again.
I think I captured the colours that were in the sky that night. Great. All signed, and a bit of artistic licence. I've put the seagulls in because you couldn't really have a sea scene in Brighton without seagulls. All very Brighton, really. Hope you enjoyed watching, and thank you so much for taking an interest if you've got this far. Okay, thank you.